Hello and welcome to the 2024 Bureau of Standards Petroleum Meter Mechanic presentation. Make sure you have a pen and notepad available during the presentation to write down notes, telephone numbers, or form requirements. Here are the current commissioner decals with phone numbers. They are circular and state inspected and approved for accuracy. Once affixed by an inspector, it shall be a violation of this section for any person unless authorized by the department to remove, deface, conceal, or in any way obliterate or change this official sticker. It is the meter mechanic's responsibility to contact the department for placed in service, new meters, or new installations. 5J 21.007 is the general code and the codes of liquid measuring devices, liquefied petroleum gas and anhydrous ammonia liquid measuring devices, hydrocarbon gas vapor measuring devices, vehicle tank meters, and vehicle tanks used as measures of National Institute of Standards and Technology Handbook 44 meter sealing requirements, and other related requirements. Who must register? All persons or service agencies that repair or install petroleum fuel measuring devices must register annually. Registration requirements are covered in Rule 5J 21.005 subparagraph 5, Federal Administrative Code. Measuring devices includes all measuring devices. Meter mechanics must register with the department annually by submitting a registration form and review current rules and regulations. There are some registration requirements that meter mechanics should know about. Step 1. Annually apply with Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services and review the annual meter mechanic presentation. Mechanics must provide a current calibration report not more than 1 year old. Be sure to use an appropriate size test measure according to the National Institute of Standards and Technology NIST Handbook 44 and has been calibrated with standards traceable to NIST. Retail test measures are 5 gallons minimum. High-volume test measures are typically 50 gallons. High-volume mechanics may also have 5-gallon provers for retail. Each and every mechanic must have their own calibration report for each test measure. Step 2. It is the mechanic's responsibility to complete an application for registration of authorized meter mechanic. FDAX Form 10990. Remember to apply annually and participate in review of current rules and regulations. Here is an example of FDAX Form 10990. Registered service agencies must complete an application for registration of service agencies, FDAX Form 10990. Here is an example of FDAX Form 10990. Step 3. Maintain a test measure of appropriate size according to the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. Each mechanic must provide their own, valid calibration report from a certified laboratory no more than 1 year old. The calibration report must have a signature page. The calibration due date will be examined to ensure the calibration report is valid and current. You may schedule a test measure calibration with the Bureau of Standards Laboratory up to 1 year in advance. Otherwise, a waiting period will apply. Any prover over 500 gallons is to be recalibrated every 3 years. Look closely at the prover. Is this seal affixed to this prover legal for use? Not with a seraphine seal. All test measures must bear seal of approved laboratory and be accompanied by a current calibration report. We've been seeing a lot of test measures come through the lab lately that have been used without being calibrated in a laboratory. They still have the manufacturer seals on them and a tag stating, needs calibration. Step 4. All mechanics must use a sealing iron bearing at least the registered mechanic's name or initials that are on file with the department. Once the application is processed, the initials, which are verified by the person accepting the applications, are officially on file. Step 5 only applies to new applicants. All new applicants need proof of experience and must have at least 1 year of experience in the field. The applicant must provide a reference letter with the necessary letterhead, stating proof of experience from their registered service agency. No experience? The applicant may work for a service agency that repairs or installs petroleum fuel measuring devices that is currently registered with the department. Email chains are not a valid form of a reference letter with the necessary letterhead and will not be accepted. Registration recap. Make sure these are completed entirely. Step 1. Annually apply or review application and reapply. Step 2. Complete and submit all applications. Step 3. Maintain a test measure of appropriate size. Current calibration report. Step 4. Obtain sealing iron with at least initials. Step 5. All new applicants need proof of experience letter. Step 6. Submit the survey after completing the meter mechanic clinic. Link will be provided by the Bureau of Standards Field Office. Materials we need to see. 1. Calibration report. 2. Sealing iron. 3. New licenses, need letter from the company. 4. The application, completely and properly filled out. 5. Completion of meter mechanic survey. Please take the time to copy down the department's contact information. The email, mailing address, and telephone number of our field office are available here. Registration information for retail petroleum, high volume, or LP gas can be obtained at our website or by emailing standards-field@fdacs.gov. Responsibilities of meter mechanics are outlined in Florida Rule 5J-21.007 for meter sealing and related requirements. Mechanics should immediately notify the department after any repair or adjustment is made to any petroleum measuring device. If a measuring device is replaced, a placed-in-service report is required. These will be discussed later. The state of Florida requires manufacturers to design adjusting mechanisms with a means to be sealed against tampering. A security seal shall be appropriately affixed to any adjustment mechanism designed to be sealed. No meter should be left unsealed for any reason. Let's play a game called, Is the Meter Properly Sealed? Seals are installed to prevent any adjustments to the meter. This is a properly sealed Wayne meter. Make sure the wire is not broken and that the meter is sealed. This device is properly sealed with brackets. This device is not properly sealed. Here's another look. Another view of the not properly sealed device. This next meter is properly sealed. This device is also properly sealed. This device is properly sealed. Another properly sealed Wayne meter. Another Wayne meter properly sealed with the bracket. This meter is not properly sealed. The old Gilbarco meter is properly sealed. Do not reuse the seals, no meter is to be left unsealed. Here is another example of resealing. This device is properly sealed. Meter mechanics calibration responsibilities are outlined in Florida Rule 5J-21.005 Federal Administrative Code. Inaccurate measuring devices. Meter mechanics should be calibrating meters as close to zero as possible. General User Requirement 4.1. Maintenance of equipment says that all devices shall be continuously maintained in proper operating condition throughout the period of such service. Our inspectors are issuing GUR 4.1 violations to facilities predominantly dispensing on the minus side. Under registration means the device is charging the customer for less product. Over registration means the device is charging the customer for more product. The term short measure shall mean the over registration of fuel by petroleum measuring devices. Over registration equals short measure equals out of service. Maintenance tolerance on a 5-gallon test measure is plus or minus 6 cubic inches. Acceptance tolerance on a 5-gallon test measure is plus or minus 3 cubic inches within 30 days of installation or return to service. If any petroleum-fueled measuring device is found to be under-registering fuel in excess of the specifications and tolerances established by the department, the inspector shall give in writing the operator or owner of the device up to 5 days to fix or adjust the device. If any petroleum-fueled measuring device is found to be over-registering fuel in excess of the specifications and tolerances established by the department, the device shall be placed out of service by the department with FDACS 10992. Such measuring devices placed out of service for inaccuracy shall be rendered inoperative either by removal or by the locking of working parts with lead and wire seal. Remember to notify the state when you place the device back in service. Meter mechanics obtain the responsibility to ensure the accuracy of meters. Supply chain issues? Parts on back order? Meters that cannot be repaired must be placed out of service. The old out-of-service tags have been phased out. LP gas meter mechanics are authorized to place an LP gas meter back in service without an inspector re-inspection. Meter mechanics are authorized to place devices back in service only if the device is compliant with the promissory release. Be sure to notify the department if you return a device to service. FDAX 10992 stop use tags are applied to any device that is over-registering. This tag places the device out of service until brought into compliance. Out-of-service tags may be removed, and the device may be returned to service after all conditions of the accompanying promissory release have been met. Again, notify the department when you have placed a device back in service. If a measuring device is delivering substandard products, FDAX 03226 is issued with an accompanying stop sale order, preventing substandard fuel products from sale to the public. Stop sale tags may only be removed if a promissory release was issued and all conditions of that release are satisfied. Stop sale tags cannot be removed for violations of water or suspended matter. If you have any questions regarding stop sale orders, call the department at 850-921-1545. Once violations have been corrected, mechanics need to notify the department by completing and returning the signed correction notice form. It is the mechanic's responsibility to send this form to the department. Meter mechanics are required to complete repair work for devices out of tolerance and shall include the date corrections were made, their technician license number, and initial certifying they are an authorized technician. Device violations may be addressed by facility staff. Correction notices may be copied. The mechanic can complete the entries for the work they have completed and submit that copy, leaving the rest for the facility to complete. Again, make sure you are sending in the correction notices after you have completed them. When reading a correction notice, the location references the pump number on which a violation was observed. Product refers to the grade of fuel being dispensed. Violation indicates why the device is not in compliance. The comments section is reserved to clarify violations when necessary, depending on the severity of the violation. The business days to correct or correction time will reflect how many business days the facility has to correct the violation. If repair times are going to take longer than the allotted days to correct, notify the department. It is imperative that all correction notices are addressed within the amount of days provided to make the correction. Adherence to these time limits is essential. Do not wait to return correction notices. Weekends and state-observed holidays are not included in time limits. Once correction notices have been completed by the technician, they need to be submitted to the Bureau of Standards. An email address is provided on the top of each correction notice issued by the department. Once the form is filled out, scan and email the form to one of the corresponding points of contact. These correction notices will be forwarded to the inspector to schedule a re-inspection. Stop sale orders are issued to the facility for product violations. Depending on the severity of the stop sale order, a facility may also be issued a promissory release. Promissory releases are not processed by meter mechanics, they are just a notice to the facility. In order for a promissory release to become official, the facility must satisfy all conditions listed on the release. Any questions? Call 850-921-1545. Facility repairs are not complete until the correction notice is correctly filled in with the date corrected, authorized technician's registration number, authorized technician's signature, and sent back to the state. Email the documents to csfaxme@fdacs.gov. Technicians must uphold their responsibility of predominance. Predominance is associated with a facility's overall delivery of product to the consumer. It determines whether the facility predominantly overcharges or undercharges for their products. Meter mechanics should keep predominance as neutral as possible. GUR 4.1 Maintenance of equipment says that all equipment shall be continuously maintained in proper operating condition throughout the period of such service. Meters must be set as close to zero as possible. All meters on the minus side must be set. Predominance of blend ratios set in favor of the business will not be accepted, however. There is no violation for blend ratios. Instead, the department will take samples and, if a predominance of those samples are in favor of the vendor, the lab will notify the inspector to issue a stop sale for octane predominance. Any meter mechanic found guilty of manipulating devices in a manner that predominantly favors a business will be considered in violation of Chapter 525 Florida statutes and may be subject to suspension of licensure and/or fines of up to $5,000 per occurrence. Any registered person or agency that has installed a petroleum fuel measuring device must report the existence of the petroleum device to the department at 850-921-1545 or by email within 24 hours of the installation using FDAX Form 03017 placed in service report. These reports are distributed to the inspector, so an inspection can be scheduled at the facility. This goes for all petroleum fuel measuring devices, including LP gas meters. We have not been receiving placed in service reports as required. If any petroleum fuel measuring device is replaced or newly installed, a place in service report must be received by the department within 24 hours. Do not submit placed in service report more than 10 days prior to the installation. The department has been fielding complaints of pulsers being tampered with. If any signs of tampering are present, further investigation may be necessary. Skimmers are small, electronic devices installed on gas pumps by thieves. They utilize SMS card technology and are able to transmit victims' financial information to thieves wherever they're hiding. If you locate a skimmer while working on a pump, contact your local inspector and law enforcement. State inspectors are happy to meet you at the location, recover, and document the skimmer, but understand that inspector territories can be large and it may take some time to travel to the facility. If you address the skimmer yourself, please report the device to the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by calling 850-921-1545. This is a crime scene and needs to be reported. Standard inline skimmer. This is older technology, not typically seen anymore. This type of skimmer requires thieves to return to the device to collect financial data. GSM or SMS skimmers are more frequently seen in the field. The main component that allows these skimmers to work can be purchased on Amazon for less than $40. Some studies show one skimmer can cause up to $1 million in financial damages. We're finding skimmers that have been numbered. Where are the other 49 devices? Sometimes inspectors will find 2 skimming devices on the same pump. It's uncertain if one device interrupts another. Take your time when looking for skimmers. Criminals are finding new, more clever ways to disguise skimmers as integral dispenser parts in effort to keep them in the pumps longer. If you're unsure about whether or not you've located a skimmer, check the other card readers at the facility. If all the card readers look the same except for one, there may be a skimming device installed on that pump. You may observe a battery adjacent to a card reader. This most likely is not a skimmer, rather a component that helps secure the card reader. Bluetooth skimming devices do not need to be retrieved by criminals. If you observe a squiggly antenna on a component connected to the card reader, you are most likely looking at a Bluetooth skimmer. Here is another hidden skimmer that has been tucked between the card reader and the circuit board. This hidden device was first detectable when the inspector noticed an unusual green wire. This is another skimmer that has been hidden within the card reader components. This skimmer was actually jammed up into the rubber boot that covers the card reader. These skimmers must be found. They do not easily expose themselves. This Bluetooth skimmer was wired directly to the circuit board in effort to make the skimming device less recognizable. Look for unprofessional soldering and wiring on these ribbon cables. The use of silicone is another indication that a skimmer has been installed on the device. In this image, you can see silicone was used as an adhesive to mount an additional circuit board to the card reader. This skimmer was attached using silicone and duct tape. Remember to compare the card readers of all devices at the facility. If there is something unusual, it will be easier to notice. When card readers are replaced, you may see a thick adhesive joining the card reader to the dispenser. This is common when replacing the card reader and is not an indication of skimmers being present. Here is another skimmer that was identified by the out-of-place green wire. The skimmer was hidden in the card reader lockbox. When the inspector tried accessing the lockbox, they noticed the metal tabs had been bent in effort to keep the box sealed. Inspectors have become accustomed to looking at the front of circuit boards to locate skimmers. In this image, the skimming device cannot be seen, but the inspector noticed the circuit board connections looked a little odd. On the backside of the panel, the thieves have used silicone and a soldering iron to attach a Bluetooth skimming device. People installing the skimmers are either taking longer to install the device or have gotten much more familiar with equipment. Here's another, less elaborate skimming device attached to the back of a Gilbarco circuit board. Notice the skimmer has been numbered to allow thieves to track devices. An easy way to see if skimmers have been installed on the backside of the circuit board is by looking behind the panel. There is about 1 inch of space between the circuit board and dispenser door. Look through that gap to observe out-of-place wiring. Another hiding spot criminals are starting to use is the pull-out panel located inside the pump separating the A side and B side. A multifunctional wireless device found attached to a contactless payment terminal at a gas station. This installation includes GSM mobile phone components, allowing it to send stolen card data wirelessly via text message. In contrast, most modern pump skimmers transmit stolen card data to the thieves via Bluetooth. The white rectangular module on the right is the mobile phone component. The much smaller, square module below and to the left is thought to be built to handle Bluetooth communication. Skimmers are an alternative skimming device used to also steal customer card information. These are also accompanied with camera installation around the keypad. This camera captured keystrokes as they were entered. Pressure-sensitive tape or security seals are no longer the minimum requirement. Effective January 1, 2022, the owner or operator of a retail petroleum fuel measuring device shall have affixed to or installed onto the measuring device at least 2 of the security measures listed here. 1. Placement and maintenance of pressure-sensitive security tape over the opening that leads to the scanning device for the retail petroleum fuel measuring device, in such a manner that will restrict the unauthorized opening of the panel or the placement and maintenance of pressure-sensitive custom-branded security tape unique to the station, may be in more than one location over the panel opening. 2. A device or system that will render the retail petroleum fuel measuring device or the scanning device in the measuring device inoperable, if there is an unauthorized opening of the panel. 3. A device or system that encrypts the customer payment card information in the scanning device. 4. A physical locking mechanism that requires an access key unique to each station, to restrict the unauthorized access of customer payment card information. 5. A device or system that will sound an alarm to alert the owner or operator if there is an unauthorized opening of the retail petroleum measuring device panel. 6. A daily inspection of each measuring device that includes opening the panels, using an anti-skimmer application that detects wireless-based skimmers, and documenting such inspections. 7. A device or system that permits customers to use a contactless payment method, such as an electronic contact-free system, tap-and-go system, or mobile cryptographic system, for payment that does not use a magnetic strip scanning device. 8. Another security measure approved by the department. Alternate security measures allow the facility to apply additional locks or safe ways to prevent access to gas pumps. If a facility elects to use any security measure, besides those listed in 525.07 subsection 10 Florida statutes, they are required to submit a request for approval of alternative security measures FDAX form 03577 to be compliant. A picture of the alternate security measure needs to accompany this form. Wayne Ovation dispensers utilize electronic prevention, which renders the device inoperable when an unauthorized access occurs. Encrypted card readers like the Verifone UX300 renders financial information unreadable by unauthorized parties, making it harder for criminals to extract any financial information. Other security measures like barricades, cages, or tamper-proof boxes must be accompanied by an approved request for alternative security measures form, and pictures of the alternative security measure. Again, the request for approval of alternative security measures form number is FDAX 03577. When submitting this form, make sure all applicable fields are filled out. Include pictures of the security measures. These are used to determine their approval. Our job is to ensure fuel stations comply with state and federal requirements. To help facilitate that, the department has created brochures warning people about the dangers of skimmers. We have also created an informational ADA compliance brochure to provide literature on the importance of accessibility. When inspecting a self-service fuel station, inspectors shall confirm that an ADA decal is affixed to each pump. The decal must be blue, at least 15 square inches, and clearly display the international symbol of accessibility. The telephone number of the station and the words, "Call for assistance," must be legible. The Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services shall adopt rules to implement and enforce this paragraph and shall confirm that the decals conform with this paragraph and are in place by July 1, 2016. The ADA decals are a 3-inch by 5-inch blue, rectangular sticker with a white wheelchair. The decal must also include the words, "Call for assistance," and a telephone number, where someone can be reached. The sticker must be located on the upper 50% of the pump's front panel. Handbook 44 Section 3.30 Specification 2.1 Vapor Elimination says that liquid measuring devices shall be equipped with a vapor, air eliminator, or other automatic means to prevent the passage of vapor and air through the meter. Those vent lines from the air or vapor eliminator shall be made of metal tubing or other rigid material. Consumers pay for product, not air. Air eliminators that contain a petcock will be considered blocked and result in the condemnation of the device. Ends that have been crimped or soldered closed, as well as soft, plastic tubing, will also result in condemnation of the device. All vapor elimination specifications are listed here. Liquid measuring devices, loading rack metering systems, vehicle tank meters, liquid measuring devices. Specifications in Handbook 44 require anti-drain means on wet hose pressure type devices. Those means shall be incorporated to prevent the drainage of the discharge hose. Nozzles that are not equipped with means to prevent drainage will result in depressurization of the hose. When depressurization occurs, the device will pump jump. This is an out-of-service violation. The inspector's job is to observe and report any violation, not to troubleshoot the problem. Pump jump violations may result from depressurization, leaks, or calibration errors at the meter. As mechanics, if you are unable to replicate the problem, contact the inspector to get more information. If you are unable to replicate the problem and satisfy the correction notice without fixing the problem, you will be held accountable. Communicate with your inspector to resolve the error on the device. Inspectors will check for seals when they return for re-inspections. Make sure the person who applies the seal is registered with the department. Compressed natural gas and LP gas are becoming more prominent fuel sources and oftentimes are found at the same facility. Propane is a gas at standard temperature and pressure but is compressed into a liquid for transportation and storage. Propane regulations are already in place. Here we've referenced the maintenance and acceptance tolerances for inspecting meters based on prover size and flow rate of the meter. Satellite dispensers at high-volume fuel facilities must have separation between them and the primary dispenser. At satellite installations with no fence separating the dispensers, the primary dispenser must have means of notification of secondary device being activated. Diesel exhaust fluid, or DF, is not a petroleum product, but it is a metered product. Be sure to verify service intervals when working on pumps and dispensers. Here are a few examples of high-volume and vehicle tank meters. Where are the seals on these devices? Mobile retail fueling services are expanding in South Florida and is considered a hybrid technology by combining a new form of payment to an established delivery method. All components of this fuel delivery system will be held to established requirements. If you come across one of these businesses, educate the owners about the state's requirements and notify the department of their existence. Thank you all for the services you provide to the consumers of Florida. Your ongoing cooperation and partnership with the Bureau of Standards help us get closer to making every fuel transaction in Florida perfect. Remember to submit all documents to Standards Field at fdax.gov. Call 850-921-1545 if you need access to any form or have questions about your requirements. The address for the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Bureau of Standards is 2005 Appalachie Parkway, Office 200 in Tallahassee, Florida, 32399. The phone number to our field office is 850-921-1545. You can also reach us via email at standards-field@fdax.gov. If you have any questions regarding legal requirements or department policies and procedures, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you again and have a great year.